state you've been hearing a lot about these days, Minnesota. Now you may be wondering how the Boricua end up being a state rep in the land of flannel jackets and Tim Walls. As folks in this room know, Boricuas are everywhere. And we find each other where we are. My parents, Pérez-Vega, a Puerto Rican of the Lower East Side who marched with the Young Lords, and my father, Pérez, a Brooklyn Ponceño who was drafted and served as a Marine in the Vietnam War, arrived in Minnesota in 1973 and quickly became one of the anchors of a burgeoning Puerto Rican community. Mommy was the first in her family to graduate high school and college, like so many of us hear about mommies and abuelas, or even ourselves, who came from a mother of the sugarcane campos de Vega Baja. And taught me from a young age to be proud of our cultura, our bandera con una estrella que se queda solita, our Puerto Rican movements. While I was in her womb, she was serving as the state of Minnesota's first Latina director for the Office of Equal Opportunity at a time where the population of Latinos as a group, because we come together, right, was less than 1%. Creating a space that when I was in her room, I was that Puerto Rican in that 1%. Creating our own Latino culture and educational institutions were influenced by the social justice and human rights movements that led by those before her so that we could free Oscar Lopez Rivera. So that we could learn about our educators and our women who are celebrating LGBTQ plus and plus like Dr. Antonia Pantoja. My mother co-founded and served as executive director of El Arco Iris, a center for Afro-Latino performing arts, where from a young age, I started playing bomba, tum, a basic building block of what would become a career in arts, hip-hop, culture, and politics. On that journey, I was most influenced and learned under the direction of Humboldt Park Boricua icon Evaristo Tito Rodriguez. New York City's and the late great Santurceño Tito Matos, to Lois Aldea's familias Ayala Cepeda, and deeply impacted by learning of how we can do our tools of resistance when the bombings of Vieques happened in 1999 by the studies of the UPR Conservatory of Music para Cumbes, Dr. Emmanuel Dufrane, and his wife Nelly Lebron Robles. In short, I'm a child of this beautiful diaspora Boricua from St. Paul, Minnesota. Puerto Rican, who spent the majority of her childhood carrying a bomba baril by way to Chicago, around the Twin Cities, as so many of us here feel those rhythms of our ancestors today. We are for each other across geographies. We've made our lives up in here in the north, but we all still clap when we land in San Juan. I'll never forget how we all stood together in 2017. By the way, I was in here that September 2017 celebrating my hermana, my best friend, Jessica Rodriguez's wedding right here, when we didn't even have a connection to our family because of Huracán Maria. But we knew that we had to come together to make sure that our people survived, that our island survived, and that our island woke up when people were witnessing Donald Trump insulting our islanders with his callousness, his racism, hurling paper towels at us. Huracán Maria reminded us and made visible to the world the colonial status of Borinquen and all of the contradictions that came with the outdated relationships made by the worst fiscal board that has taken us back by pre-1952 days of the island, in which you've heard and which you've heard, because we all gonna say it here. But when Maria hit, the diaspora everywhere rallied. In Minnesota, the Puerto Ricans, the Boricuas from the island that made that place home on the indigenous Anishinaabe Dakota land, our small but powerful community sent shipments to the desperately needed and collaborated with grassroots organizations of the diaspora to ensure our supplies did not get confiscated by the National Guard. We raised money. We did what we had to do, and me as a type 1 diabetic, insulin dependent, whether you're one, but I know you know, because 1 in 5 Puerto Rican children on the island are. I had my own shipments of insulin shipped because We didn't have access to that. Our people didn't have access to that. We did that through hip-hop concerts, bombazos, coquito competitions, organizing all Minnesotans together, whether you rocked a flannel like Tim Walz or a guayabera, to help millions of U.S. citizens. Here we are. We work our asses off, and we ain't stopping. And we're working hard to tell the DNC self-determination belongs to la gente de Borinquen.
Yes.
That's why we stand as Boricuas everywhere to demand self-determination on this island. The status question has remained so stagnant for so long that it's easy to lose hope. But when my hope is tested, I remember in 2019 when we all gathered up again to say, que se vaya Rosselló.
Yeah.
That year, Puerto Ricans dreamt big and did big things. That's what we must draw on hoy, ahora mismo. We dare to dream of a world without colonialism. It's also why we dream big. It's that Boricua drive to dream big that made me take the oath in office as a rapera, bombera, a student of Columbia College for a little bit, but I had to do a Puerto Rican hip-hop movement to make sure that Oscar was free, and that man right there said, vete, go do it. We take that oath. That's why, as Vice Presidential nominee Tim Walz said, we don't earn political capital to bank it. We earn political capital to spend it. That's why in my first term, we continue to cap that insulina at an affordable price and also support our undocumented Minnesotans that have the accessibility of that law. We kept a 20-year run of a campaign for driver's licenses and made that happen. We restored the vote for our felons. We provide universal meals for our niños in schools. We did a lot of things in those first 2 years of the rapera being a Boricua loud singing Campo Yo Vivo Triste on that house floor that people said I couldn't do, that we couldn't do. So when people say that the status question in Puerto Rico can never be resolved, I say somos Boricuas, ¿verdad? We can do hard things just like Clemente goes hard to hit that pelota. We're going to do that and hit a home run and tell them, somos Boricuas. We do things hard. I want to close by thanking this community of Humboldt Park for inviting me today because this has been my home. This is the Mecca. For a little Puerto Rican girl who wanted to feel those bomba drums and take them back to give them to the other Boricuas or to give them to all of the beautiful folks that need and resist because of the diaspora of us fighting for over 121 years. Yep. That's the importance. And what I want to leave with you today is seguimos pa'lante, siempre. Gracias.